Hey everybody, welcome to the BA Zone Live. I'm just trying to set up for our evening show. I'm a little late, 8 o'clock, but I'm doing this solo tonight. So I'm just trying to set up. We're going to go old school. Kathleen has all the fine equipment out there, and I've got multiple apps going here to make sure everything is going to go well. So let me just get that going and get Periscope up and running. And I believe we are now live, although I'm trying to get the, okay, let's see here. How was everybody tonight? Hope everybody had a great weekend. Let's see. See if I can get Periscope going here. If I can flip that so that everyone can see me. I don't know if I can. Hold on just a second, folks. Sorry, a little delayed. Tonight we're going to be talking about mergers and acquisitions, and can you successfully merge applications? And you're all looking at my Kirkland dog pads here. Hold on just a second. All right. Let's see. Hopefully you can all see me. Hopefully that's working out on Periscope. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Mare Morrison, and you are joining the BA Zone Live. Normally, Kathleen, my co-host, is with us, but like everyone else, she is out doing the graduation trail. So, as always, you can find us everywhere. Just a quick update. You can find us. I'll be all over the place tonight, kids. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, and please, if you think this is interesting, please pass it on to someone you think it might be interesting. Show us a little love. And if you have any comments, please feel free to send comments. I'll try to find them on this equipment and answer them. And if not, please leave any comments or suggestions on the bazone.com on our website. And we're here for you guys. Anything that you need, whatever you're struggling with or have questions about, send it in to us, and we'll get back to you, or we'll do a show on it. So let's get busy. When we have a merger with a company, if you're a business analyst and you're working in a typical company, and all of a sudden you're told, hey, we're acquiring another company, or we're being acquired. And then in the next breath, they tell you, and guess what? We're going to be merging the applications that each particular individual company has. So now what? So you wonder, okay, how am I going to do this? Where am I going to start? And to do this successfully requires a broad scope of tasks that have to be done. And you're usually dealing with two disparate applications. It could be disparate data. They could be similar. It could be something that a company has acquired to expand their market share or expand the type of business that they do. There's a lot of reasons why they do it. Money is usually the number one reason, and isn't it always? They may buy the competition and then have that, application that has to be absorbed. There may be a platform, or there may be employees, there may be brick and mortar, better e-commerce, location, customers, better data, the financial cost, whatever the reason for a merger of applications. There's a lot of work that has to be done to really merge the applications. And typically when we're talking about merging applications, actually, that's one of the first questions that you want to ask. You want to define what that merge really is. So it means different things to different people. You want to find out, for example, is this merge around two or more front-end interfaces that you're going to sort of adapt and create a new one, and it's typically the new best in breed for that particular application? Are you going to be merging ingest channels, file feeds, or data exchange? Are you going to be merging the back-end databases or the data tables? Are you going to be looking at the functions of one application so that that functionality is also available in the other application? Are you, looking to reduce the amount of duplicate code without making changes to the two front ends? So you're sort of working in the back-end database. So that's the number one question when you're talking about merging. What are they talking about exactly? It could be two custom-built applications, which is usually what Kathleen and I work with. But it could be, a bunch of smaller applications, which is actually more difficult, and people don't realize how difficult those mergers are. A lot of young companies will buy, instead of building, they'll buy applications as they're growing until eventually all those applications really become unwieldy. And maybe data is being siloed across your business in your different locations in multiple formats. They don't talk to each other. And you really don't know how well the company is performing at that point unless you're trying to extract data, then compare it, outside. And from a marketing perspective, it could be a nightmare because you really don't know how well a campaign is doing if you have to look at multiple platforms and multiple applications. So you could be missing a huge volume of customer insights and prospective customers as well. So when you merge those platforms, it sort of gives you a more holistic approach or a holistic view of your business and your customer, your target audience, and it gives you that competitive edge. So as I said, from a business analyst perspective, and across all roles actually, but particularly with the business analyst, you're going to be involved with, in your career, potentially merging one or more applications or platforms. And I'm going to talk about tonight merging from the custom-built two applications from the front end and the back end, not so much from the hardware. So that's what we're going to be talking about, more of the software and the databases. So what I usually recommend when you do this, and I've merged many applications over my career, so you can go at it from a whole bunch of perspectives. I mean, obviously, you're going to have to interview all the people involved, but before you even get to that point, you want to take a look at the individual applications themselves. So that's sort of the number one thing that you want to do. You're trying to determine really what these applications, what are they trying to solve, or what are they trying to do? Are they streamlining or improving process? Or are they looking at user experience? Are they looking to, is it an application they bought because it reduced costs? What are the different perspectives, and when you're looking at these two applications, you want to sort of look how you can improve those, how you can improve scalability, are there security concerns? Are you looking for better communication or documentation, better data capture, reduce errors, and hopefully you're not looking to do this just because the boss thinks it's a good thing to do without any type of insight at all. But that could happen as well. So you really have to take a look at that. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to do a comparative analysis of the two separate applications, and do it separately at first. A lot of times we were dealing, as we've said many times before here on the BA Zone, we're dealing with these legacy applications that have little to no documentation, or if there is documentation, it hasn't been updated in ages because they don't have a really good way to handle their versioning. So we're sort of starting from scratch. So what we like to do is we like to go into each application. What you want to do is you want to start by mapping out the navigation. There's several ways to do this. You could do it in a Word document. I prefer to use a visual diagram, a flow sort of mapping. And you want to take each page And you want to click on each link and see where it goes and document where it goes. So if it's a navigation where there's a menu on the left-hand side, click on the first menu item. Click on anything that's on that landing page and just map out where each thing goes. This is a good way to determine what the high-level functionality is. You know, what are the big components in the system? And as you're doing this, you want to look at these menus and say, are the menus easy to find? So you're sort of doing this comparison between the two. So you want to note things like, are the menus easy to find? Are the screens easy to navigate through? Are there a lot of clicks you have to do to perform to get to where you want to need? Because you're not going to frustrate anybody more than having more clicks than you need to have. So you want to take a look at that. And you want to take a look at the flow in general. You know, does it make sense the way it's flowing through the pages? Are there too many pages? Is it too small? And it might be that way because of they were trying to design it as a mobile app as well too. So you just don't know. But anyway, just take a look at that. And you're trying to look to see if between applications, if they're sort of capturing the same data. Are they capturing that data in a way that's easy for the user? So that's sort of the navigation, just mapping out all the places that links go to, and just to make sure the links aren't broken, or you know, that they make sense, how they're going back, and making sure you can get back to where you were, that type of thing. The next thing after we've mapped out the application, if there isn't one, I will create a data dictionary. It doesn't have to be necessarily a data dictionary at a developer sort of level where you're putting in back-end data names, but you can certainly go through and list on this particular page, you know, this is a particular field. What type of field is it? Is it a drop-down list? And what are the values? Is it a radio button? And what are the values? Is it a yes, no, true, false type of thing? Are there check boxes? You know, that type of thing. And what are the values? As you're going through these data fields, also look for redundant data, because what happens a lot of times, if it's sort of these legacy apps, you'll find data fields on one page that they are not migrating the information to another page where the same data field is. So you want to look for that redundant data and try to, you know, sort of outline that type of thing. And you want to look to see where you can edit, update, or delete. So those are the types of things that I'm talking about with a data dictionary. You can also have a comment all the way over to the side, any types of comments of what it's used for, any type of calculations or business logic. But you'll need that anyway at any point to compare to the other application's data to see where you may be missing some data, or there could be redundant data again, or if they're actually doing it better in one app versus the other application. Another thing to look for when you're looking to create a best in breed, are there a lot of free text fields? And, you know, why are they there? Could they be streamlined into a more of a click and check, instead of making people type things in all the time? Sometimes it makes sense, but a lot of times it doesn't, and it slows people down, and people don't always know what to put in there. They could write mini novellas. You know, it gets a little out of hand. So you want to take a look at all those free text fields and just see where they're being used appropriately. Another thing you want to look at between the two applications is the performance. So, you know, you want to look at the search and the lookup features and the dashboards and page response. You know, is it slow? Are the results what you expect? And if there's in overall too, if you want to take a look, if you have a bug reporting system, you know, a lot of companies do, like fog bugs or something like that, where they track all of the user issues and the bugs. You definitely want to go look at the ones that have been closed and just sort of scan through to see if there's something that comes up consistently all the time that would lead you to believe that a particular part of an application A, application A, might not be working as something maybe over here in application B. So that's another little trick that we do. We go through all of the enhancement requests for both applications and the bugs, just to look for anything that might be consistent across that board. And other things to look for: security. Can you set particular permissions? Do you have to set permissions in one application over another? And what is the level of customization that's available? What can you plug and play in the plug and play components? So you're looking for that, sort of those high level chunks of functionality in one application over the other. Another thing that we like to document is, there any type of communication within the application? Are there email notifications, messaging, alerts? That usually helps tremendously with operations, especially if you're emailing or alerting one role to another, that something has occurred and action needs to take place, type of thing. Sometimes we look at help too, to see if there's any type of help stuff. Where it gets challenging, as with any type of mergers or acquisitions, is the people you are dealing with today may be gone tomorrow. This happens more than you would know, and they take a lot of that knowledge with them. So, if we can get the access to the apps, and if we can get maybe a knowledge expert or a couple of users to walk us through the app, even if we can't, we can definitely do what I just discussed and go through and page. You should do that anyway. But the challenge with an acquisition or a merger is that a lot of people feel threatened, right? They feel threatened. They feel like they may lose their job. So they may hold back information. And your job as the business analyst, obvious, is to make them feel secure. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. None of us do. And typically we try to just calm their fears and say, look, we're going to work on this together to create an application that is going to take the best components from both applications and merge them into one. And so it's sort of we want to focus on the creative process. And part of the creative process is, getting a lot of this factual information first, and then we can focus on the fun stuff. And people usually do respond to that. And that's what you're going to have to focus on as a business analyst. Now, I'm going to take a minute here to just see if I can see any comments, but I'm not guaranteeing anything. But while I'm doing that, I just wanted to, let's see. Okay, I don't see anything coming through right now. But just while we take a minute here, I just wanted to let you know that, we do have a mailing list. You can go to thebazone.com. And you can give us your email address. We don't ask for a lot of information, but we don't share it. We don't sell it. We've said many times before, we believe in karma. So, but mainly it's just to give anyone who's on our mailing list a heads up as to what's coming before anyone else gets to hear about it. So if you want to sign up for that, please do so. And again, if you have any questions, or if you think this is information someone would like, please share it. Please, send us some hearts, some likes. We do appreciate it. And we're here for you guys. So if there's anything you want to see on additional shows, please let us know. And we'll try to do whatever we can to help you with that. So as I said, we've done a lot of mergers, acquisitions. Part of the reason we go through all of the fields and document all the data dictionaries is eventually you're probably going to have to do a data mapping and a data crosswalk type of thing. A lot of times over years, people are collecting informations in these applications, and we sort of lose track of why we're collecting it. Initially, it might have been we're collecting information because someday way out there, we may need that information to do analysis on, and nobody ever really does. So, when we're looking at the two applications, after we go through and do this comparative analysis of the functionality and the data and the screens, that's when we start to get together and do our interviews, and we do it in, I typically like to do it in a group, and to go through some of these things just to pick people's memory and say, do you know why this is still here, especially if it looks like data that doesn't even belong there, and let them go through it and let the business decide what they want to keep going forward and what they don't want to keep. And when you bring the two groups together eventually to decide the type of data that you're going to collect, and it's usually done in joint application design sessions. I have never honestly had, I think most of the time, people who have these older applications on both sides are happy to be getting something new. So I've never really had a lot of animosity occur during those joint applications designs. And that's because we do position it to say, look, we're going to create something that's bigger and better than it was before, and we need your help to do that. But typically, a lot of these applications that have been hanging around for a while have huge enhancement lists on both sides. And this is a great way to get everybody what they want by taking all those lists and putting them together. So it's actually a lot of fun. It can be a lot of fun, and can be very successful as well, as long as you plan ahead and do your sort of due diligence and do your work. And I have no fun stories to tell you. I wish I did. Kathleen is half of my memory with these fun stories because we've worked together for so many years. But it's funny. I mean, we do come across a few folks that will say they really want it, and they can't even say why they want it. And it's up to the business to decide whether I let them decide, and it's usually that 80-20 rule. Are we going to use it 80% of the time? Because if it's 20% of the time, let's not waste a user's time by collecting this information when they could be doing something else. And this is going to be sort of a shorter show today than usual, with the holidays coming up and Kathleen off at graduations. Everybody's at graduations this week. And so I sort of run through it rather quickly. Usually when we bounce off each other, Kathleen and I, our shows run long, way long. So now when it's just me, I was kind of blowing through it, went a little fast. But let's talk about why this is important, why the mergers and applications, why go through all of this sort of comparative analysis before we even do interviews or get to the design process. You really want to go through and determine what's good and what's bad about the existing products before you try to go and redesign. Obviously, there's a lot of information that's already there. Why reinvent the wheel? It's just sort of taking that information and making sure it works for the users. It's all about the user experience, I think, more so when you're merging applications than anything else. That's the thing you want to improve. You want to improve speed. You want to improve navigation. You want them to be able to have the information they need when they need it at their fingertips. And, minimal slowdowns in that. So by doing this, it gives you a lot of good design ideas. You'll see a design from one application and it may trigger something. It may not be the best, but then when you combine it with application A, you come up with the best in breed or a brand new design. So it sort of is a way of just getting you into that design mode just by looking at two different applications. Amazing what you'll see, and you'll go, well, that's really bad and that's really good, or somewhere in between. So it can provide you with a lot of design ideas. And it can also give you sort of a little bit of information about when you get to the cost-time analysis perspective. How much development work is going to be involved with merging these two products? Is it going to be enough benefit to the user to actually merge them at all, or sometimes just go out and buy something off the shelf, which is like a whole other issue that we can talk about another time. But what can be salvaged from one application or the other in order to reduce costs of the project overall. And like I said before, it can provide you with that preliminary data mapping or crosswalk when we have to merge the tables or the data in the back end. For example, a field A could be called something on the first application, something completely different over here, but they have similar maybe drop-down lists. Okay, so now we have to take these two drop-down lists and say, what does this field, this drop-down map to this drop-down? Or are we going to remove it? Or are we going to create a new one? And that's a time-consuming thing as well. And I've been involved in many of those too. BAs will be pulled into that. So it provides a lot of that initial information that you need to take everything a step further. So it's sort of getting all your ingredients before you bake your cake and get all those measurements correct. So and that's about all I have. I don't see anything out there on Periscope coming through questions, but then again, I might be doing something wrong, because that typically happens. And this is the first time I've done solo. I've done a solo show before, but this is the first time I have actually done it Periscope on my phone. My laptop has Facebook with my cameras and my mics, and my iPad over here is looking for comments. So everything seems to be working, but then again, you never know, because that's life and that's live streaming. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful. It's 8:27, so it's sort of 3 minutes shy. I don't see any comments out there right now. But again, if you do have comments, please, 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 just go to thebazone.com, drop us a comment or a question, and we'll get back to you. And if you have any problems, or you're struggling, or if you need advice, we're here for you. That's why we created the BA Zone. And if you have any ideas, we'll certainly look at them. We've certainly taken them and made shows out of them before. So that's about it. And I thank you for joining. And hope to see you next week with my other half, where we can just, I know it's a lot more fun when we can sort of target each other and joke with each other. So, but I hope this was helpful, and I want you to have a great night out there, everybody. Thanks for dropping by. Take care.